Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the KeithAndrewNetWork. This is 215. I'm here with beautiful and talented Liisa Evastina, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and this is awesome.
Now, for people who want to know what uncensored is, uncensored's my way of showing people that even with having a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities or disabilities. But you should never give up, and you should prove to people you can still mount something no matter what. And that titles and labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. And you should overcome those labels.
Absolutely.
To people.
I think it's fantastic, Keith. What are you doing? I think it's awesome. And I was born in Finland, which I'm actually right now in Finland. So being an immigrant to United States, I also had a lot of disadvantages in the beginning, and the biggest thing was obviously to learn to speak English and being able to communicate with that. And so I can relate to the frustration when you try to reach goals and you feel like you just have to start a whole lot. You have to do more work than other people to reach basic goals. So I can relate to that, and I can, in my opinion, really, I don't think there are really disabilities and abilities. It's more so how we approach them. Because the same thing that someone else might think, oh, that's a disadvantage, it can be a gift.
Right.
But if we just have to learn to see ourselves as perfect the way we are and acknowledge our gifts and those disadvantages and whatever it is that takes you longer time to accomplish, it actually makes you a better person. And most of all, you will appreciate what you got eventually when you reach it. If it comes too easy, we never appreciate it. That's the sad thing. It's the human nature. What's easy is like, blah, I don't want to do that.
I hear you. Well, the first subject I was going to ask you is, what can you tell us about yourself? You mentioned you're from Finland. Trying to think what type of accent that would be.
Well, Finnish language is Finno-Ugric, so it's kind of its own little language group, where a lot of other Nordic countries, Scandinavian countries, people speak Swedish or Norwegian, Danish, Icelandic. Those are related. But Finnish language really isn't related to anything else than Estonian and a very distant relative to Hungarian. So our accent is just very peculiar. It's really, people don't necessarily recognize it. They're not sure what it is. And we also, as native Finnish speakers, people who speak Finnish as a first language, the accent is a whole lot thicker than, let's say, Swedish speakers.
No.
It just takes a longer time for a Finnish speaker to master standard American English. It's harder. It just takes a longer time.
Well, if you want to have a little fun and make it a little different, could you give us some examples of what Finnish? Like, I give you a perfect example. You can talk in both. I don't want to impose on you. Just saying, if you want to, you can.
Totally. It's funny because I as an actress, I do a lot of characters with other accents, like Russian accent, Swedish accent, and German accent. But for some reason, it's really hard for me to go backwards with a Finnish accent. It's like once I learned it away, it's hard for me to go back. but Finnish accent can be, let me see, I will need a little text or something to read something. Here. Okay, that's some legal document. Maybe I'll skip this one.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, I'm going to ask you some questions, but instead of answering back in English, could you do the different accents?
Oh, okay, I'll try.
I don't want to impose on it. I'm just trying to make it more fun and make it more different. So, starting off with, what can you tell us about yourself? How was life growing up?
Well, I guess I can't go back to my Finnish accent. Well, when I was, I grew up in a very, very large home. So I have 7 sisters and brothers, and we always had a lot of pets. So we almost had a zoo. I mean, we didn't have farm animals, but we had a lot of dogs and cats and bunny rabbits and hamsters and guinea pigs and birds. So I think that's the number one thing that comes to my mind when I was a kid. There were a lot of people in every room, like living room always had a lot of action. You were never alone at the house because there were so many people. And yeah, we just had a lot of animals, and which I guess for a long time I didn't have any pets because I was traveling and creating a career. But 2.5 years ago, I adopted a dog who, she's actually right here with me. She's taking a nap. So basically, she's now my family, and anywhere I travel, she goes with me. So she's been to 9 countries now. So she's a traveling sidekick.
Now, here's the one question for the dog. What's the dog's name?
Scarlett.
Will she respond if I say her name, or she probably doesn't know who I am?
I think she would. Try it.
Scarlett. Puppy. Scarlett. Okay, be that
I guess she's sleeping. We had a long day. We had quite a long day, so I think she's like, I'm done.
Now, do you have to buy her like a certain ticket? Does she travel side by side with you, or does she go in cargo? I know that sounds terrible, but
yeah, it does sound terrible, and that's why I refuse to do it. I will always make sure that I'll fly with airlines that allow her to come to the cabin with me.
Yes.
Certain airlines allow it, certain don't. But usually they have a weight limit, and she's just that. Like she's just usually it's 10 pounds the weight limit, and she's like 9.5 with her bag. So usually so far it has not been a problem. But I'm very clear on that. If the airline would say, oh, you can't come to this flight, I'd be like, well, I'm not coming. If my dog doesn't come, I'm not coming. Bye.
No, I'm the same way. I love animals. I'm very passionate about them. And it's horrible just to say to put them in storage, put them in cargo. It's kind of like...
But some of the larger dogs, there's no other option. So if you really have to move, then it's maybe better to take the dog, and even the dog is in the cargo and has, uncomfortable few hours, that might be still better than leaving your dog behind, So
that's true. But after hearing the stories of what happens in the cargo, it makes you paranoid.
Yeah, no, I'm very paranoid, and I've said, you know what? She goes to cargo if I'm allowed to go with her. So let's do it together. Let's see how it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Then I could tell the whole world how awful it is.
Yeah,
and I would too.
The next question, I'm going to ask you some hard-hitting ones, but I'm going to ask you the easy ones.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to pass it over to you. This is your time after all. The easy ones I'm going to ask are, how did you start acting? We can do it step by step. No reason to rush.
Well, the very first time I fell in love with acting was I was maybe like 9 or 10, and I went to see this play about little vampires, and it was just incredible. Since that, I just kept dreaming and imagining that I could fly too, like they did. It was a very simple stage production, but with lights and some simple effects, you really, and most of all the actors, how they were flying. I, I I touched something that I was like, I have to have this in my life, and I have to be able to share that. It was just incredible. So it was a very clear moment when I was like, I have to do this. And definitely the second major step was when I decided, I had been acting a little bit in Finland, but mainly I had been doing modeling. Um, but it didn't feel like it was enough for me. And the acting schools in Finland, they were more on the traditional, like old fashioned perhaps style, um, and very specifically focused on drama. And I applied to a couple of schools here, but I didn't feel like it was really serving. They weren't offering the kind of education that I was really hungry for. So I decided to move to Los Angeles. So definitely that was the second major step when I just packed my stuff and I found a school, and I went to look for schools first trip. Then I came back to Finland, and then I moved for a school. And that was definitely the biggest step and the best step I've ever done in my life, because the moment you fully commit to your dream is it frees you. You no longer you no longer listen to the people who don't believe in it. You just fully it becomes 100% your lifestyle. And regardless how long it takes for you to get certain kind of credits or credentials or money or whatever it is that a lot of people who don't follow their dreams, they're asking you to prove. They're like, oh, well, you need to have this and that before you can be a professional actor, and all these stories. But it usually is just these people are afraid because they haven't followed their own dream. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I no longer had those people around me. And it was a really incredibly freeing experience.
Right.
Because everyone was an aspiring something, aspiring musician, actor, director, writer. So you were surrounded by these incredibly positive and excited people. And all of us, the misfits from all over the world, found ourselves in Hollywood studying acting. And that was incredible. So that definitely, those were the earliest memory I have. And then the moment when I fully committed to it. And yeah, it's some people go and test it. A lot of people quit, or it's not about even quitting to people. It might be that you try something, you're like, yeah, you know what, I gave it a couple of years, but I realized I wasn't loving it. And so people might find something else that they love in film instead, which is equally important. But the important key is that you need to do what makes you happy. And if you quit when you're not ready to quit, and you quit on reasons that are outside of you, like, family or whatever it is tells you to quit, and you quit against your own will, wow, those people become the most bitter people I've ever met. So that is really dangerous. So, but overall, yeah, I have been a professional actress for 15 years. So it's a long time ago I made that commitment, but it has been the best commitment I've ever made. And then getting a dog.
Now the next question, well, I was going to ask you about high school and college, but I can ask you about later on, but unless you want to talk about this subject first, this is your time. Sure. After all.
Yeah. Either one is fine. High school and college?
Sure.
Yeah. So high school, I actually graduated high school still in Finland. So I left Finland after high school. So I've been basically traveling since. I've been living in multiple countries, in some countries in Europe, and then mainly in Los Angeles. And I definitely have this kind of personality that I prefer learning by doing. And sure, I'll sit in a class and learn the theory, but I'm very hungry to go there and try out things. And I don't mind failing 20 times or 2,000 times. I don't
do
care.
it every day.
Exactly. So the classical education, I enjoyed it, but I knew that as soon as I had a reason to stop going to school, I was happier. So I went to college just for 6 months actually, and I realized that, you know what this college will teach me in 4 years, I can learn in a so much shorter period of time, and I'll be able to learn things that the college will never teach me. And that was my choice at the age of 19, and I still agree with that choice. I've since thought about going to school, going to college, but then I thought that what would I really want to study? What would I need a degree on? Hollywood is one of those places that a degree will not make you a better actress. It will not make you a more successful producer. It definitely will not make you a more successful screenwriter. It's more so your personal experience and what's your what you offer, and your personality, and it's a whole package deal, how you know people and who you're connected to. And sure, some colleges you can get connected to like-minded people, and yes, if you can afford it, if you're lucky enough, let's say your parents saved up the money for you to go to college, absolutely do it. But I wasn't one of those people who actually had money even to go to college, so my options would have been going to some city college and maybe try to apply for a scholarship, and most likely end up studying something I don't love.
Right.
Because you don't get to be so, you don't get to choose whatever you want unless you can unless you have the monetary situation to be able to choose. So I chose to study acting, become really good at what I want to do, find my specialties in acting, comedy. I took a lot of comedy workshops. Then I slowly learned and martial arts as well. So I trained martial arts for almost 10 years. So I kind of created my own college. It was for me. It wasn't something that you walk away with a college degree, but you also don't walk away with a college loan. So I was working while educating myself, and I never stop educating myself. I constantly read. So I'm not saying that education is not important. I'm saying if you are clear on what you want to do in your life, then tailor your own education. It could be a combination of a college degree and studying yourself.
Don't mind me, I don't too easy for water.
So yeah, it could be a combination of getting a degree and then studying something additional to that. In my case, I wanted to master actors' work, character development, and then the film industry kind of started to open doors to things that I didn't even know I was good at, or I never even thought I would end up doing. With the lack of interesting roles for women to begin with, but also especially for foreign women and Scandinavian women or Eastern European women, which usually that was how I was cast in Hollywood and still am. I wasn't satisfied with the characters they were offering to me. I mean, I made the best of it. I took them, I did a lot of roles that I was like, okay, let me try to create some personality on this and make it a little more like there's actually a reason why she's like this. but then slowly I realized that I have to start writing them too. And so I became a writer as well. And I never really thought, if you had told me when I was 10 that Lisa, you're going to be writing TV shows and movies and books, I'd be like, no, I won't. That's not, absolutely not. You know? But it kind of naturally went there. So I have been writing a lot, and that's another thing that I never went to university for. But perhaps the style I write, I'm sure it's not flawless. I'm sure it's filled with flaws, but probably because it's so uncensored, it's not something that the teachers 20 years older than me told me to do, but it's something I just had to like write from my heart and, figure out my own way how to make it function. So,
Absolutely.
so perhaps the lack of education has been a gift in a way and gotten me this far.
No, absolutely, I agree with you. Yeah, the last two easy questions I'm going to ask you, then we go back to the acting, how you started your career and everything. But the first thing I'll ask you was, were you a study nerd or party animal when you were in college and high school? And did you do any sports? Were you athletic?
First of all, I was definitely an athlete my whole life. I would say only the last 2 years when I've been spending more time in the office, sports has become a secondary. But as a kid, I was playing soccer. I was really super serious about it. I was really, people said I could have pursued soccer as a professional career, but I was too young to make that decision. And already at the time, I was like 12 years old. I was like, no, I don't want to be a soccer player. I want to be an actress. And my coach was really not happy with that decision. So I played soccer, basketball. Then I started doing martial arts. So sports has always been very important part of my life. And at some point I was a certified personal trainer. I did it a little bit, but then I realized that when I started training other people, my fitness level started weakening. So at the time it was just, I was like, no, I'll just stick to training martial arts. When it comes to partying and studying, I think I've had a really good balance of both. Balance in a way that I've had these time periods that I'm extremely studying. But then when there is a fun time, I know to enjoy it too. I guess the cultural thing too in Finland, the partying usually happens in middle school. And by the time you get to high school, because in Finland, high school is not something that you just walk into. It requires a really good grades to get in. You don't get into high school. There are huge levels between high schools, so you actually apply for a quality high school. And I got into one of the better high schools, so there was just no space for partying because it was really demanding. But I would say in the ninth grade and then after high school, I definitely had some party times. And when I went to the college for 6 months, it was nothing but party because the educational level was so low, what the teachers were teaching. I was like, we're not going to learn anything. So we ended up just having a good time and making the best of it. But yeah, partying in general, I mean, it means millions of things. And having lived in Los Angeles and seen what happens to people when they party too hard, I try to avoid the word partying because we don't know what it means. To me, partying means going, having a get together with friends, having good food, maybe some good wine, maybe some drinks, but nothing that will hurt you, you know. I'm really against drugs myself, and in Los Angeles, having lived there for so long, it really divides people. There's unfortunately a lot of drugs available, not everyone has the guts to just say no, and it's not always, you will look like an idiot sometimes. And there has been many fancy events that someone offered me a drugs and I just said no, and no one talked to me after that. But I was fine with that. I was like, you know what? I still need my brain, you know? I got still more work to do. But so the whole world of partying, I mean, obviously, when it becomes a party like that, then that's not my kind of party. I prefer nice sit-down dinners. I love fancy restaurants. I love delicious food, and so I guess I'm a little. I enjoy life, but I'm not.
Right.
It will be a very rare day if you see me 4 a.m. dancing on the dance floor. Probably would be my best friend's wedding or something. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to go to home before midnight.
Now, the last two questions I'm going to ask you, then I'll pass it back to you, was, did you ever get the chance to do one of those human pyramids, or not a human pyramid girl?
You mean like in cheerleader
Yes.
thing? Oh no, we don't have that stuff in high school in Finland, the cheerleading. So I didn't do gymnastics. So no, I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't go and do that. I don't think I could hold anybody, nor I would be unsafe to stand on someone's shoulders. So the answer is no.
Well, would you be interested in trying one, or are you not into that?
I don't know. I think, you know what? I'm a little bit afraid of heights. So I don't think, I guess I should be then one of the people holding someone, but
Well,
I don't think I'm strong enough then.
It's not the holding one. It's basically you just kneel on the person and they just stand
Yeah.
up and do the pyramid.
I guess I could try it. Maybe. If I get a chance, I would try it. I like trying things, so I would probably do it once, but I don't think I would join the team.
Right. No, same here. And when I mention human pyramids, people always mention cheerleaders, but you don't have to be cheerleaders to do the pyramids. You can just do it for fun. It's human art and it's an exercise.
Yeah.
I'm a loser. I love that stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like yoga, so I guess maybe I would have some balance to do that, and but yeah, why not?
Now, the last subject I wanted to ask you and was, were you any extras or any TV shows, any movies? How many years were you an actress? And are you interested in doing voiceovers as well, or?
Okay, so I have been studying acting I started 15 years ago, so that's when I started. I joined the Screen Actors Guild in 2007 or 8, I believe. No, the role I did extra work, and I actually got into the union through that, and it was in a movie called 40-Year-Old Virgin, which is a fantastic movie. Well, the sad thing was that I was hired to be in it, but they didn't use me. So I got paid and I got to join the union, but I never appeared in the movie. So, I mean, I didn't, at the time I was like, oh well, but then when I realized how amazing movie it was what a bummer. I really wanted to be in that movie. So I got to be on the set for a day, and then yeah, it was that was the first time I did any union work. So that was an extra work. Then, I mean, I've done roles that have been featuring roles. So I guess, there's a frustration when you do extra work and you don't get to be in the movie at all, or you're so far somewhere in the background that you don't even see yourself in it. Yeah. So, if you really want to be an actor, you probably will get bored being an extra quite fast, and just kind of, it's agitating to be on the set and being semi-useless. But then I did a featured role recently, last year actually, in a movie called 13 Hours, the Michael Bay movie that was filmed in Malta. And I was on the movie set for 26 days, which was fantastic. But then I'm in the movie maybe 9 seconds.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I wouldn't have mind being a little more, but that's just the name of the game. Sometimes you end up being an extra, even though you weren't hired to be one, but you know. So it's, it all adds up though, but everything is a great experience. If someone wants to be an actor, I would recommend, why not? Start being an extra. Anything that gets you closer to the movie sets is part of that life. You will never become an actor if you stay away from the film industry, because no one's going to come and find you. But if you keep going toward the opportunities, you never know. You don't know what happens. Like even with the 40-year-old virgin, I was an extra, but they asked me to come back for a real role. Then I came back for the real role, and they were like, oh, we're not going to use you because you were already in it, but you get to join the union, and here's your paycheck. Bye. So it was still a win.
Yes.
But I was like, what? I don't understand, you know. But so you never know. I recommend doing it, but I also recommend, how would I say? Yeah, I think it's when people say that there are no small roles, there's just small actors.
Yes.
So it really is about your attitude. If you treat yourself, you behave like a professional instead of an amateur. Exactly. So when you're a professional, you take it seriously and you give your all to it. It will return the favor, the business, the industry. Most people are only kind of half doing it. That's why they don't get anything back. And it is not an easy industry. It's not an easy job. It's demanding. We didn't, otherwise everyone would be doing it. Everyone's just dreaming about it, or, kind of thinking about it. But for people who want to become actors, absolutely, any opportunity, voiceovers, theater, comedy. And I've done voiceovers and I enjoy them a lot. I love cartoons. I've done some commercial voiceovers too, but I especially love the cartoons, animations. So I'd love to do more of that. Absolutely.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
No worries. No.
I was gonna say I do a fan-made parody of Dumbo. If you're interested and you want to help me with it.
Oh, let's look at it. Absolutely.
All right, now.
Yeah, no, I love animations. I'm working on quite a few, on writing some stories that we can eventually get into animated films or animated TV series. And I did write something for my little doggy too.
Well, if you ever need anything, you can count on me. You help me, I help you.
Fantastic. I'm happy to help you how I can.
Now, we're wrapping up the show in 6 minutes. So I'm going to ask you my last question. And I promise I'll shut up and pass it to you. Is when I first approached you, what was your honest opinion of me? What did you think? Let's see, how am I going to phrase it? When I first approached you, what was your honest opinion? What did you think about it? And now, after doing the interview, do you feel the same way or do you feel differently?
I think you approached me already a while back before, didn't you?
I think like 3 years ago, yes.
Yes, and I at the time, I think I was so busy with my work and in such a mindset that it felt tough to set up something. And when you approached me again, I was so happy you did, because I don't like to miss out on interviews, but I like to be a woman of my word. I hate to cancel. I hate to have to reschedule. So if I have a busy period of time, I'd rather just not accept any meetings or interviews, because I hate canceling. So I'd rather wait till I have time and then fully focus on it. And it kind of stayed in my mind that I was like, there was a radio interview and we were supposed to do. I wonder where that guy went. You know, like, oh man, I don't remember his name. So when he approached me again, I was like, oh, this is great, because, you know, I that really shows that when you keep a list, or whatever your approach is, it's very professional. Maybe you have a list of people you reached out once and you keep trying again. And I think that's exactly how you're supposed to do it in order to succeed. It's gentle, but it's still stern. Hey, we'd like to do this, you know, and let's set up a time. And now it was a good time because this is kind of my summer vacation, which I haven't had for a long time. So now I had the flexibility and it was easy. And yeah, you've always been very professional. And like I said in the beginning, I love acting and that's my profession. But I absolutely think that my purpose on this planet is to inspire people to follow their dreams. And this is what you're doing too. And that to me, it's really, really important that people like us stick together and help out each other, because it's not about you can't even measure how many people you will inspire with your show. And it doesn't even matter. Is it in thousands or hundreds of thousands, millions? But the fact that you're doing that makes your journey on this planet pure and you're on the right track. So any opportunity, usually I end up speaking in like business conferences or schools, sometimes acting schools. But I've gone to places to speak, like public speaking, that are even at the homeless shelter, because you don't know where your inspiration is needed the most. We don't know, you know. We're all on the same planet. We're really, in my opinion, very similar people. Other people like to categorize how we're different, but I don't think we're so different. You know, most human beings, probably all human beings, are just trying their best with what they have. And we usually think others have more than we do. But the truth is, no one really got more or less. We just got a very different set of skills and pros and cons, right. You know? And to every human being, it feels that their problems are the biggest ones and the hardest to overcome. But when we share our problems, and then we share our victories and how we figured out things, that to me is the key, and that makes me happy, you know. So that I'm very happy you asked me to be here, and I'm glad we were able to sort it out, and I got to be in this awesome yellow conference room for this interview. And so I definitely had a great experience, and I am very happy I met you, and you've been professional, and now I know who you are, and now I have a new friend.
No, absolutely. Now wrapping up, we have, actually I can just turn off the timer. You have as much time as you like. You can ask me anything you want. If you want, you can ask me the top 10 questions you want to ask me. Actually, that should be like a new subject. Top 10 questions my guests want to ask me.
Okay.
You can
10
ask
questions.
Me, or top 5, whatever you want to do.
Okay. All right. Okay. What's your horoscope? When were you born? In what month?
January.
Okay, January. You're probably Capricorn. Girls like horoscopes.
It's something with an A.
7?
If it's something with an A, I think it's I don't know. It's something with an A.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm a Scorpio. These are, you know, so I guess some people like horoscopes. I don't mind them. Let me ask you another thing.
Oh, I'm Aquarius.
Oh, you are Aquarius. Fantastic. What else I'll ask? So, how long, you said 200 something, how many episodes you've had?
You want to? I can tell you about it. I didn't want to bitch to you about it.
Yeah.
I did over 300 interviews.
Okay.
And when people always say to me, "Oh, you need to be, you need a business license. You need this. You need that." Okay, would you like to help me with it? No, if you can't do it yourself and it's not meant to be. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I heard that a long time. And so recently, once I got to 300, people were starting to come out in the woodwork. Yeah, my agent or my manager says you were degrading. You asked a lot of stupid questions. We don't like the video quality. We don't want to deal with people like you. Or if you said something stupid, and he said, "Can you edit it?" I said, "Okay, I can do that." But instead, you would make an open thread, say, "Yeah, just take it down. I'm gonna sue you, or I'm gonna do this. Yeah. I'm gonna do that." And it's kind of like, one, where's this coming from? 2 years went by, and and here's the part I like. And I'm being sarcastic, by the way. Here's the part I like. Did you explain to your manager and agent why you were on my show? The purpose of the show? And the whole thing I was doing? No. Okay, of course they're gonna say it's pointless if you don't explain it to them. But I got people that were just coming out of freaking woodwork. And I want my interview private. It didn't bother me in the beginning, but when it started to get like 9 or 10 people saying private, I'm like, why is it being private? And then the truth came out. We were embarrassed to be on your show. I thought it would help me with my career. My agent and my manager said this, let's do that. Take it down, I'm going to sue you. And I'm thinking to myself, and why did we do the interview in the first place? Oh, we thought it would be fun. We didn't think we were being serious.
Well, there are all kinds of people, and I have a feeling a lot of those actors and actresses are still figuring out their own career for themselves. And perhaps they just don't know how to be interviewed if they say wrong things.
Right.
I mean, what could you possibly say so wrong that is that cannot be up in the air? So, I'm sorry you had to experience all sorts of people like that. People are different. And not enough people are nice. And that's, I think, is the biggest issue, is when people blame others for their own mistakes. I mean, we're just, like I said earlier, we're all just trying our best, And, but I think it's fantastic what you're doing, and you continue getting better. And it's frustrating, but we learn through those frustrating things. I mean, we all make mistakes, and then you just, we learn and you continue. And I definitely think you have something great going on here, and it continues growing. And eventually it's going to be something really, really big, and a lot of people are going to see it. And a lot of people are going to get inspired, and you're doing it for the right reasons. I think so many people get into this film industry or entertainment industry for wrong reasons. They're after some sort of, some sort of money or prize or something, some sort of compliment that is going to fulfill their broken heart. But that's just not how life works. We all are going to get broken hearts. We all are going to feel inadequate somewhere. But we need to continue. And I think the only right way you can be happy is when you help others, and you're absolutely helping others.
No, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, was there any other questions you wanted to talk about, or you want to wrap up the interview segment?
Yeah, I do want to know, where do you want to be in, let's say, 3 or 5 years? What's your goal? Where do you want to where do you want to take the show, or where do you want to be? What's your dream?
Going back 3 years ago, people said to me, it was never going to amount to anything. You were manipulating people, you're conning people, you're doing this, you were doing that. But 3 years later, thanks to you, going back to, I'm going to finish this and I'm going to explain. Well, thanks to you, 3 years later, we're still going strong. My following on Twitter is growing. People can follow me. Hashtag KeithAndrewNetWork. Like my Facebook page. Trying to get as many likes. Took 3 years to get 200 likes. About 200 likes. Yeah, it took me 3 years to get over 400 and something followers.
Yeah.
And going forward, maybe in a year, maybe 2 years or something, I would like to get my own studio. Maybe you could help me with that if you're interested. But I don't want to impose on you, I apologize. But maybe I get my own studio, start doing my interviews in person, get my series picked up either by a network, just have people walk up to me and say, hey, I watched your show, you're an inspiration, just become well known. I just really want this to take off. I do want to become famous, I do want to become well known. And that's the point of life, like you said, people look for something to fill themselves with. But that's what I'm looking for at the same time. I want to have an interesting story and be like...
Be an inspiration, yeah. I might have some people I can connect you to. Let me think about that. Give me about, give me a week. Let me sort you some connections that I think style-wise and to people who might be able to help you or who might be interested in the show, because it is from the heart, and that matters. The quality, like the picture quality and so on, that's secondary in the beginning. Eventually it'll be, when you have an actual studio and people come in there and all that, then you have, you will have financial backing and you can afford it. But usually great ideas come out of just something small that was heart driven. So you're on the right track. So just keep at it. It will get there. So don't let those naysayers and mean people slow you down. Just keep at it, because that is the hero's journey. And in order to earn your stripes as a celebrity, as a person that is representing people, you need to first, overcome your obstacles, and you've been doing fantastically, and keep at it. We all doing the same road, it's the obstacles keep coming and we keep stepping over. I unfortunately will have to complete the interview now. So otherwise they'll lock me into this conference room and I'll be able to I have to spend the night here. So, but it was truly a pleasure meeting you, and let me think about a couple of people that I can connect you to, and then I'll let you know when I'm in New York. And if in the meanwhile there's anything I can help you with, let me know.
No, it was a real honor and privilege to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay.
Talk to you later.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.